Right, now we are back. Today we're going to continue our book, How to Stay Young, what the prophet has dreamed the scientists will prove to be true. Now today is Tuesday and my watch says it is 10:10 a.m. in the morning, and today's the 3rd of September 2017. Now it's been 2 days, I believe, since I did my last video, but that doesn't matter, because what matters is what we're doing now. You know, I'm still working on it. Everyone has work to do on it. I'm not perfect. I'm not here to try to be perfect. I'm real. I'm very real with you guys. You know, we're learning, and there's a lot of applications to be made that we need to apply in our lives as well. And you know, everybody has those old habits that they need to break away from and that they need to change. Remember how we've been talking, what Socrates has told us, that we need to just keep focus on building the new. Focus on building the new. Build the new. Build the new. Don't fight the old, because that fighting the old will just put more energy into that old. It'll create frustration and resistance. Okay, focus on the new. Focus on the new. Just keep putting energy in the new. So we are here, and we are putting more and more energy into the new, because we know that it is necessary. And when it comes to the dream and who we want to be as people or as a person, it comes with who we become as a person. And this starts with, you know, your mindset, the way you think, what you know. It starts with what you know. It really does. It's who you know as well. But when you don't know anybody, then it goes to what you know, because you could take what you know and create something out of it. And in the act of you going out to just take action on what it is that you want to do, you'll attract those people in your life that will help you make that vision, that dream, that desire you have into a reality. It's a natural law. It's a law of the universe. You know, God wants you to have those things that you desire to have. He wants you to be the person that you want to be. For all we know, it was probably Him that placed that vision inside your heart, because He knew that your character, who you were, was the only person that just might have been able, that really was able to do that. We're all here. We're put on this planet for a purpose. We're all here for a purpose. Let's continue with ours. Chapter 20. This can't be chapter 20. Hold on. I think it is. Wait, it is chapter 20. So chapter 19 was what we went over last time. Regularity in all things, moderation in all things. Okay, chapter 20. The rejuvenating power of sleep when properly slept. When the conscious ego goes to sleep, it enters the subconscious, and in doing so, it has two objects in view. The first object is to carry into the basic mentality the results of the day's experience, and the second is to receive a new supply of life force with which to recharge the personality upon awakening. So as we sleep, our self-conscious mind moves into the inner portion of our mind. You know, we could sometimes have dreams of you know, this person that we, you know, we might have dreams of someone that we carry in here, or of something that happens in here. You know, we just have a dream that just represents something as such. He says the second is to receive a new supply of life force with which to recharge the personality upon awakening. You're here to learn too, Corey. You don't know everything. Don't act like you know everything. We need more minds. We need more people. We need help. We need help. And, you know, one day we will have that. One day we will have that. The nature and the actions of the subconscious mind determine the conditions of the objective mind and the physical body. And since everything that enters the subconscious will affect its nature and actions, it is highly important that the conscious ego, when it is going to sleep, conveys to the subconscious only those things that will promote the purpose that the individual may have in view. Oh man. Regardless of what you think they might think of you, Corey, it's fine. The conditions of old age originate in the subconscious. The same is true of the qualities of youth, but what it is to originate in the subconscious is determined principally by what the conscious ego carries into the within when going to sleep. Therefore, the art of staying young depends to a very great extent upon the art of going to sleep. Now, from what it sounds like he's saying is because since our conscious mind is the subconscious is subject to what the conscious portion will suggest to it, and after all these suggestions and this subconscious personality, because remember the subconscious is one and the same with the universal mind. They're man, I don't want to do this right now. You sound terrible. Your thinking isn't straight. I've smoked a lot of weed these last few days. Like 2 days ago, I went and helped my Nana. I cut her lawn. And I just spent these last couple days with my family. And, and right now I just really, really feel it. You know what, it's interfering with my video. See, that's why things like this is why we can't be doing those things. This is why we have to let something like that go in order to really fulfill that person who we want to become. Because it interferes with our thinking. It changes the way you think. It clogs it. It blocks your energies. You can't form a mental picture as clearly. It's like you're literally changing the fabric of your consciousness, your mind, because you keep inviting an outside element, an outside substance to get into your mind. And your mind in turn takes this and starts to build the fabric of its own consciousness with this element. This is why those effects are just, they take so long to wear off, and it just bombards and blocks your energies. Not only that, it makes you more receptive to other people's energies. So I'm personally an empath. For those of you who don't know what empaths are known to be more sensible to the vibrations they receive. They could get a lot more frustrated to somebody's negative energy. When somebody's just darting their negativity at you because you're doing something that they don't want you to do, and that they didn't even sit down with you themselves to teach you everything that they know and to help discipline you, and then they don't. I'm not perfect. I'm not here to try to be. I'm here to try to grow. I'm here to grow, and I'm here to learn. If you're here to learn with me, then that's great. That's fantastic. Because you know what? Like 1% of the population, if even that. And if there is more, they don't really speak up about it. Know this information. And how sad is it that they didn't teach it to us, and that we're living our life not even conscious of what we're doing to ourselves. The conditions of old age originate in the subconscious. The same is true of the qualities of youth, but what is to originate in the subconscious is determined principally by what the conscious ego carries into the within when going to sleep. Therefore, the art of staying young depends to a very great great extent upon the art of going to sleep. I'm going to read that again. The same is true of the qualities of youth, but what is to originate in the subconscious is determined principally by what the conscious ego carries into the within when going to sleep. So in other words, it sounds like he's saying, just like the art of visualization, forming mental pictures, has a direct impression upon our subconscious mind in a waking state, sounds in a way that when we're thinking upon a specific object or a specific subject, and we think upon these things as we go to sleep, then we enter into that deep sleep with that that purpose on our conscious mind. And he says, what is taken into the subconscious becomes a part of the nature of the individual. But the conscious ego can, before going to sleep, eliminate those things that will prove detrimental to the health, the youth, and the welfare of the individual, and in doing so may determine absolutely the future condition of the personality. The time of going to sleep is the sowing time. At this time we may sow what we like, and what we sow we shall reap. So that is what he's saying. He's saying as we enter into a state of sleep, we must envision the things that we want. We must picture it within our mind as we retire at night. You know what? Neville Goddard tells us the exact same thing. He says, before going to sleep every single night, picture in your mind and vividly imagine it. Vividly, he says, to put emotion into it, literally enter into that state of consciousness as if it already existed. Believe in it, feel its reality mentally, move into that state of being, and go to sleep feeling as if you were that. Go to sleep feeling as if you had that. Go to sleep feeling as if it were true. Because then because the time of going to sleep is the sowing time. At this time we may sow what we like, and what we sow we shall reap. To sleep properly is to enter the subconscious with those impressions, ideas, and desires only that we wish to have reproduced in mind and body. To sleep well is to reconstruct the entire subconscious mentality according to a higher, larger, and more perfect mental conception, and to do so in a state of peace, harmony, and sweet repose. To awaken from a refreshing sleep is to awaken in the conditions of the state of mind that invariably follows the complete renewal of the subconscious mind. And the renewal of the subconscious always takes place during sleep, when we go to sleep with mind in the upper story. To go to sleep with the mind in the upper story is to carry into the subconscious only those impressions that have a constructive tendency. In consequence, the subconscious will, in the morning, be superior in comparison to what it was the evening before. It is therefore evident that if the mind is in the upper story every night when it goes to sleep, the subconscious mind will, in the course of months or years, become highly developed through this process alone. And as the subconscious is, so is also the entire personality. And it's very interesting that he says this too, because sometimes when we do go to sleep with certain things on our mind, we have a dream about those things, and we dream about those things. And sometimes we may even wake up with those things on our mind, and then we continue the next day still thinking about it. You remember, 95%, up to 95% of our mental life is subconscious. You know, the majority of the thoughts we think today are thoughts we thought the day before, and thoughts we thought the day before that. Remember, it takes, once we start building that seed thought, once we take those thought forms and we build those habits, those deep mental grooves, you know, it literally becomes just a part of our character. That plant has, if we plant a seed of courage and we water that seed every day until that seed grows into a plant, becomes a part of who we are. That courage plant, the character, becomes a part of our character. That will in turn be a part of our destiny. Remember, it starts with our character. It starts with who we are as people. It starts with the way we think. It starts with who we are internally. Because it doesn't matter who anybody is on the outside. Remember, an ugly heart will always be an ugly person, regardless of how physically beautiful that person is. The Bible, Proverbs 8:5, tells us to stay away from immoral women. Women who have no interest in the path of life, women who have no interest in the life within themselves, women that have no interest in the spirit of who they are, because they have no interest in their thoughts, they have no interest in emotions, they have no interest in connections, they have no interest in any of those things, and they will take you and devour you and destroy you. We must not allow that. To place the mind in the upper story before going to sleep, the entire attention should be objectively concentrated. We must go to sleep with it in our mind for a few moments upon the highest conceptions of our ideals that we can possibly form, and during this concentration, consciousness should actually rise into the superior states of the upper region of mentality. In this upper region, the mind will find that peace, that harmony, that sweet repose, and that unspeakable delight that makes true existence so rich and beautiful. And what the mind finds in this upper region will be taken into the subconscious to be later made a part of the whole of man. When the mind goes to sleep in the lower story, all the worries, disappointments, mistakes, confusions, ill feelings, misconceptions, and troubled thoughts that have formed throughout and during the day will be carried into the subconscious. Let's read this one again, because this is a very, very important paragraph, because it clearly indicates and details everything that we had just explained. That when the mind goes to sleep in the lower story, all the worries, disappointments, mistakes, confusions, ill feelings, misconceptions, and troubled thoughts that have formed during the day will be carried into the subconscious. And in consequence, the subconscious field will bring forth a harvest of tares such as sickness, trouble, poverty, adversity, weakness, and aging conditions. And what have we learned through all the other books that we've read, through the Master Key System, through mental chemistry, through the science of getting rich, and through the science of being great? What is this power? What is this force that will bring us back the harvest of tares such as sickness, trouble, poverty, adversity, weakness, and aging conditions, simply by going to bed the night before with thoughts of worry, ill disappointments, mistakes, or ill feelings, I should say, disappointments, mistakes, and confusions. All these wrong misconceptions that we receive throughout the day, we must let it go. We must not let it stay in our mind when we retire at night. We must go to bed thinking about those things that we want. Philippians, I don't know which one it is for sure, but remember how we said, think about those things that are worthy. Think upon those things that are righteous. Think upon justice. Think upon those things. Think upon these higher things, and go to bed with them at night, because in turn, it says, because in turn we will wake up with those things in our mind again the day after. And as thoughts are things, and as thought is the directing force of all of our mental energies, and as thought is the force that literally forms and fashions the mold and matrix of our subconscious, the subconscious will bring about the results in our life, because the subconscious field will change its energy, and the energy of which our subconscious field changes into will attract those likewise energies around us in the same like manner. And if the mind goes to sleep every night, or nearly every night, in this manner, the subconscious will steadily become more and more inferior. And he's talking about going to bed with conditions of sickness, trouble, and poverty. The subconscious will steadily become more and more inferior until its entire power is gone. Then the personality can no longer exist, and the end will speedily follow. The The reason why the average person begins to go down after a period of 30 or 40 or even 50 years have been passed is due to several causes, all of which have been mentioned except one, and that one is found in the fact that the subconscious is made weaker and more inferior every year because the conscious ego usually goes to sleep in the lower story. And it also goes to sleep with the idea that it is getting older, and the subconscious mind has no idea, has no choice but to enter into the state of energy of growing old. You enter into that state of vibration. Remember that all form is nothing but a rate of vibration. That this material being that we are is simply its form because of the vibrations of our spiritual anatomy. It had to take on a form. It had to express itself in form. Remember, spiritual world and the material world are both coinciding in one right now. They both exist here and now. They are simply the positive and negative of our life, of existence. And all of which have been mentioned except one, and that one is found in the fact that the subconscious is made weaker and more inferior every year because the conscious ego usually goes to sleep in the lower story. And in the earlier years of the average person, responsibilities are few, but after the age of 25 or 30, these responsibilities begin to multiply, or even at 23. And to the average mind, they feel like burdens. With these burdens, the mind goes to sleep and the subconscious is weakened thereby. In consequence, the personality will begin to go down in health, capacity, power, ambition, vigor, and life. Growth will cease, and when growth ceases, old age begins. Now, it's very interesting how we're talking about higher and lower states of consciousness. I could find that, yeah, marijuana has proven to enhance our imagination. And how true is that? Your imagination could be set on fire when you're stoned, when you're high, and that could be a good thing, but it could also be an issue, because if you don't have control over your imagination, you could also imagine things that don't happen, and you could imagine all these crazy things that are just negative. Remember, once we enter into that state of being, we'll begin to start attracting those things into our lives. We must be mindful that if we're just doing it, a little bit every once in a while, it's not going to have a huge effect. But it's only until it becomes that habitual thing that we do. When we do it habitually, and we're habitually in that state of being, and we're habitually high all the time, and we're habitually just there, then that's when it really makes an effect in the outer world. Because then your mind is always there. You're always operating from that mindset, that way of thinking. Remember, as thought is creative, thought is a creative principle of the universe. That is our way of creating and influencing the external world. That is an issue that I'm working on. It's a fight. It's not easy. That's why we need to just keep focusing and putting our energies in building the new instead of just fighting the old. Because I noticed that when I do that, that was an old thing that I did. And I would enter into a lower state of consciousness. My thoughts would be on they would kind of drop. After a while, at first you will feel enhanced. You'd be like, wow, like this person's totally thinking this. I totally feel the energy of this person, but the after effects of it and just trying to build your energies back to where they were before, because it'll totally slow you down. It totally slows you down. And when you have something that requires your attention, that requires your consciousness, because remember, consciousness, energy, where our focus goes, the energy flows. If we stop putting our energies into spaces and spots that are truly, truly important, and we start putting our energies into things that aren't, we're going to be manifesting more of this in our life, and we're also going to be conducting that type of character in our life. I mean, you've seen the way I was earlier, and how small that is. It's small. It's because how much greater that you can be, and that that you have something in your hands that could just turn you into the person that that you want to be. But yet you still sometimes engage in those old things and those old ways that you did. Yeah, it can be frustrating. But just know that as long as you just keep moving forward, just whatever you do, just keep moving forward. Eventually you will get there. Eventually you're going to get there. Okay. The responsibilities of life should not be looked upon as burdens. They are never burdensome too long. They're never burdensome, so long as we live for the purpose of turning all things to good account. They are never freaking Corey. And we shall gain the power to turn all things to good account when we continue to develop the subconscious. To accomplish this, the difficulties, the obstacles, and the adversities we have met during the day must be eliminated from the conscious attention before we go to sleep. To build a superior subconscious mentality, the superior only must be taken into the subconscious. And this is done by giving the whole of attention to our highest conceptions of the ideal and the worthy and the superior as we are going to sleep. So giving our full attention in our thoughts, our consciousness, specifically to our higher ideals, focusing on those things that we want. That is, we should enter the upper story of mind for some time, an hour or two if possible, before going to sleep. And we should take that superior state of consciousness with us into the great within. When we go to sleep in this manner, the quality of life, the life, and the power of the subconscious will be constantly increased and improved. The entire personality will consequently advance, and so long as the personality continues to advance, it will continue to stay young. However, to go to sleep in the usual way is to cause the subconscious to go down to weakness and inferiority, and old age will positively follow such conditions. The great majority go to sleep with their minds in the lower story, but it is not possible to stay young unless we habitually go to sleep in the upper story. Now, as he says that, I want to talk a little bit about the importance of meditation. Meditation is very, very important, especially when waking up in the morning. I meditated before I even did this video, and even after the meditation, I still felt my mind forces were a little bit scattered at places. You know, concentration, when we enter into meditation, we concentrate all of our forces to center. You know, we bring ourselves into center. We bring our thoughts to us. You know, we stop thinking. We go into the higher plane of being, which is knowing that us in our real state of being is consciousness, and that we are above our thinking. So we have to learn how to just still the mind, you know, quiet the mind, quiet the thoughts, and just be the awareness, be the thing that just is being, because that is who you are. You are the thing that just is, you know. And when we enter that state of meditation, we don't put our mind into activity, you know. We just bring our forces centered, and we just, you know, focus on our breathing and you know, connect with the body and feel the oneness of your environment. Really bring your forces centered, because when you wake up and you center your forces, you could go out through your entire day in a more centered state of being. You know, if you wake up and you don't center yourself, you're going to wake up with being scattered. And then you're going to go throughout your entire day with your forces scattered. That's what the majority of the population is doing anyway, and they're not even aware of it. That's the sad thing, is they're not aware that that is what's happening. And that is where we come in. Because that is where my future is going to be. That is a plan that I know that God has for us. God has a plan for you. Remember, God is the mind, the infinite mind, this intelligence, this substance, this original substance that just fills the interspaces of all the living universe. You know, God is the mind, the cosmic being that himself is alive. Just as you are a self-aware consciousness created in the image and likeness of God, so too is God a self-conscious, aware being that has created you in his image, has created you to be a self-aware, conscious being. That is the reason why, you know, that is the reason why we were That is, we're creators. We're the creators. There's no other creature on this planet that can do what we can do. That is the reason why we are the highest on this food chain of the planet. A lion would absolutely tear us to pieces, but he cannot think the way that we can. He does not have a mind that we have. A lion cannot set universal law into motion. A lion cannot set consciously. They cannot consciously put these laws into motion. There are some laws that they can't even employ simply because they can't think the way that we can. With all that get understanding. To begin the day with the conviction that we do possess a life and the vigor of youth is to continue in the youth-producing attitude during that day. Ere long, it will be, ere long, E-R-E, that might be another, I think that's another word for before. So before long, it will become second nature to spend the waking state in the youth-producing attitude. And he who lives every day in the youth-producing attitude will perpetually produce youth in his own system. Therefore, he will continue to stay young. That makes perfect sense. That makes so much sense. Because as we enter into that state before going to bed, you know, as the body is an expression of the mind, and where the mind is before it goes to bed, in its waking state throughout its entire day, the body is going to manifest through itself through actions. To secure the best results from sleep, 7 or 8 hours out of every 24 should be taken for sleep, but never less than 6 nor more than 9. To secure insufficient sleep is to secure insufficient life, because all life forces comes from within, and to take too much sleep is to stupefy the mind. Now, I've also done some studying with like Buddhists and Hinduism, and they talk about how sleeping is a subconscious state of meditation. You know, and when we enter into meditation in a waking state, that is a waking sleep. In a way, you're asleep in a wake state, and when you sleep, you're awake in a sleeping state. Or I'm sorry, the other way around. When you're awake, you're in a way you're asleep in a waking state, and when you're asleep, you're what the heck am I trying to say? Because when you go to sleep, and as ChristianDLarson is saying, how the conscious ego goes into the subconscious. And the Buddhists, and when they talk about meditation, when we go into meditation, we still the mind, we're literally opening our mind to allow more cosmic energy to flow into us. So remember, when we think we're employing that energy and putting it out of us, when we become receptive, when we open our mind up, we're allowing the flow of this energy to move into us. We're doing that consciously. But when we sleep, we're doing that unconsciously. That's what I was trying to say. The last thing I was trying to say I was just like, what? I was saying it didn't even make much sense, not even to me. It was just like, what was I trying to say? But anyway, we got it. So when we're sleeping, we're unconsciously allowing the forces of the universe to just flow through us. But when we're meditating, we're consciously allowing these forces to just go and flow through us. When the energies of the system are not placed in constructive action, the very hour the system is fully recharged, their desire for action will express itself in mere desire. And to desire to act without having the opportunity to act is to waste power. Therefore, important work should be undertaken at once in the morning. This method will produce better work, and when night comes again, it will be a matter of perfect ease to go to sleep in the upper story. And that is the end of chapter 20. So, Creator, you heard the man. You heard Neville Goddard. You heard of all what these people said. You hear about what we say about the subconscious mind, that this mind is under the influence of the conscious portion of the mind, and that we literally have the power to direct this subconscious portion to do anything that we want it to do. You know, the ant and the elephant, and when this ant lets the elephant know, and this ant chooses where it wants to go, and it gets the elephant to agree to move with them in that direction, then there will be nothing that that person won't be able to accomplish. Remember, like as consciousness, as a soul, this is just like we're passing through another round. We're passing through the material realm, through this material body. This body is nothing but a vessel. You know, it is our vehicle. It is the elephant that they say that takes the decisions that you make and begin to act on it in the outer life. As we've been going over with the power of thought and thinking, that thought forms are the seeds. You know, and thinking is the only activity of the soul. Thinking is the only activity of your being, of your awareness. And when we think, we set all of our mental energies into moving in a specific direction. And we have to emotionalize those thoughts. We have to emotionalize those ideas in order to get the subconscious to agree with it. Remember, it has to be, you have to add feeling behind the thoughts, because thought itself exists on a higher realm. Remember, thoughts are things. They're invisible things. They exist in a higher plane of being. So when we get our thoughts focused on something, we have to put emotion into it in order to give life to that thought. Because once we put emotion into it, that's how the subconscious can accept it. You know, people are thinking about things all the time, but they never act upon it. You know, because they never really make it subconscious. They never get emotionally involved in that idea. Well, you have to get your subconscious. You have to get your elephant, the emotions evolved into it in order to really get that feeling and to build the desire to take action on that thought. Remember, everybody wants to go to the gym and everybody wants to be in great shape, but not everybody desires, really truly desires it more to the point to where no matter what, they go out and do it. No matter what, they go out and do it. You have to have that level of desire. You have to, or else you won't be able to accomplish anything. You won't be able to accomplish anything. And you know what? According to how well you do something or how much energy you put into it is going to determine your direct level of desire for it. You know, it's amazing. I could say the same thing with me. You know, I desire to be the best that I want to be. I desire to learn the most that I could learn. I desire to be different. I desire to help people. I desire to do all those things. But there's also one aspect of me that desires, you know, other things as well. There's only so much energy and forces that we could put into one thing. You know, when we have this other thing that is also pulling in our attention. And this specific thing I'm talking about is a girl, a female. I've been single for a little over 2 years. And there's this girl that has recently just really caught my attention. In these last couple of days, it's just been like, I just need to focus on me again. You know, don't do this again, Corey. Don't let some girl just take your attention away from who you want to be as a person. And also, don't let freaking marijuana stop you, you know, in your laziness to keep you from putting more and more energies into that person who you truly desire to be. Just because you like to be in some state of mind, and you like to listen to music in that state of mind, and yeah, you like to read books in that state of mind, and yeah, you like to work out in that state of mind at times. But remember the aftermaths and how it just doesn't help you, how it just blocks your energy. That is, for the most part, everybody knows what they need to do. Nobody's dumb. Everybody knows what they need to do. It's just, are you going to do it? And it takes time. Just remember, stay in the process. Just stick to the process and stay in the process. Just remember what Earl Nightingale has told us, that success in any area of life is the progressive realization towards a worthy ideal, a progressive realization, a persistent effort towards an ideal, towards an image, towards that vision, towards that dream you have in mind. So regardless of how long it might take you, like, dude, Corey, you're 23 years old, bro. You're 23 years old. There's no rush. No rush. Remember, practice your poise, practice being calm, practice keeping your mind focused on the here and now. Because remember, our mind does better work when it's at home. It doesn't work as good when your mind is somewhere else and your thoughts are somewhere else. Keep your thoughts at home. Keep yourself centered, and just know that you have the key. You have the key, bro. I can make it happen now. And that's what scares me. All that being said, that is the end of chapter 20. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you. We're learning. We're all learning together. And we'll see what the future holds for us. I'll see you in about a minute. I'm going to get some water. We're going to go over the next chapter. See you soon.